Hey guys, welcome back to Xposed Tuesday. Today I'm going to give you guys a review for an application or a module that enables you to control access to information on your device to any application that you have installed. Let's check it out. So next we're going to go ahead and make sure to install the actual module. Go into the Xposed installer and then look for DonkeyGuard. DonkeyGuard current version is 0.5.52, so it's actually the current stable version of the application. Once you launch it, it does automatically wants to go through all your applications. So we're going to give it a few seconds to actually sift through and find all the applications. Okay, so it went ahead and finished actually loading all of our applications. You can go through the list. It's an entire long list. The developer put in a few nice customizations, and we'll go through some of those options. But the main benefit of this application, if you flick from the left, you have the ability of going into the type of search, permission search, rating, category search. Those are just some filters you're able to put in. Obviously, you're able to donate and rate the application. The other option here is if you swipe from the right, you get to get into the actual kind of user interface setup part of the system. So where you would expect settings to be. Give us the ability, obviously, of the uninstructor. The instructor essentially is the ability to give us all the instructions on how to actually use this. By default, it's checked in. Once I install the application, it was giving me the instructions of where to go. Transition effect, that's just what I just did here. You have the ability of changing that. The other here is that the soft-coded default deny and the hard-coded default deny and empty. Currently, these are the default settings. You can set those, you can change them. The default privacy mode, which one you want to set. Here is where you have it become a little more interactive than just reactive. If you want to turn these two options on, you'll be able to basically give it the permission to monitor every time you install a new application. And it gives you the ability to go in and start modifying what your permissions are and what your applications can do. And of course, application log state, this is just if you turn on logs, you'll be able to see this. By default, when you get in here, I'm just going to go through with what we have here, obviously. Logs are not turned on unless you check the box over here. So at this point, if I say logs, nothing is implemented. But if I turn it on, I'm able to actually go in and start looking at logs once we actually have some logs showing on this. So the reason you'd want to implement the logs is if you have an application that for some reason or another you notice that it's draining a lot of system resources, battery, and it's just doing a lot of things in the background. You're able to go in and try to limit it and hopefully not break it. And you need to be careful with these things. So the other thing you're going to keep in mind here is that if you click the actual number, it gives you a slider here to slide down to wherever you want. And it does the automatic sliding for you. And then of course you're able to go back to the top and it just scrolls automatically for you. It's faster than having a scroll bar, but it actually works pretty well. The next thing we're going to go through here, let's find an application we want to look at. Okay, so I played this game, it's called Alone. Yes, no pun intended there. And obviously I don't have logs turned on. It has already a preset rating as far as some of the other people that have used it, settings, and system. Systems by default is what your system app interface is. So if you go to app info, this is where you'd go in, and then you'll be able to go back into it. The other thing you want to keep in mind here is this is where you go to settings. Settings are within, directly within actually DonkeyGuard. This is also the other thing you want to keep in mind. Some of the options within DonkeyGuard require to have Cydia Impactor installed. If you don't have that installed, they won't work. It doesn't mean it won't work for everything else, but for the purposes of this review, I am not installing Cydia just because of the options that I'm going to go show you guys what you can do. So by default, you have a list of the categories that are gone through. You're also able to swipe to the right, and you can see here you can actually put and change certain information. You can even spoof certain information, which is a really benefit of this. Under the Android ID for this application, you can actually change and tell it what Android ID you'd like it to have. And you can even just say a random one. So it puts in a different random application, and then you just say save. And once you put that in, it tells you and it validates the fact that you put in a custom one. None of this is working or will work till you hit the save button. So even if you change your mind later, you don't have to worry about it. The other thing I noticed here, which when you're interfacing with it, if you check the box, let's say I don't want it to have my cell information and I check it. I don't have the ability of unchecking it. It doesn't work. I need to actually exit the interface right now here under the settings, go back into it, and discard all my actual changes. So keep that in mind. That's one of those things you want to look at. The other thing is essentially, again, the same thing goes in here. This is just more organized in a better way. You notice the same change I did over there is over here. I can see it. I can actually interact with it again. But I think this is a better interface here because at least it's categorized by areas and you are actually able to specifically go into areas that you're concerned about. And of course, as I try to exit, if I don't hit save, it will disregard all my options. So I'll say disregard because I didn't really want to change it. The way DonkeyGuard is implemented is actually pretty nice. It looks good, it sorts information, it gives you access to the information in a nice way. It also gives you the ability to go through a tutorial to understand how to use this application. So when you've seen other applications on the actual Xposed repository where it may give you some of the same functionalities, they may not also have all the same benefits of this. So if you're new to actual app permissions, this is definitely a great way to get into. This is different in many ways than app ops that's already somehow available for us actually here on XDA through some modules. Main benefit obviously here, you're able to spoof certain information as far as what you're actually letting the application see. So be aware also, of course, when you're doing all of these things, you may break the functionality of an application. Some applications may be dependent on these functions. So do change settings one step at a time till you figure out the way to basically get it to the level where you're comfortable with. I like the intercept mode. I just find it depending on what you're doing. If you install a lot of applications like I do, it may become cumbersome. I would just say install them, then go back in and manually edit them. So as usual, I think you guys should check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Like and subscribe to this channel, like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys soon.